ladies and gentlemen, and welcome tonight to Marconi Stadium, the Palace. Tonight's game sees our mighty Marconi Stallions take on Spirit FC. Marconi Stallions would like to thank you for being here tonight and supporting them, so get behind them, make yourself heard, and let's make a difference. The Marconi Stallions acknowledges and appreciates the support of its 2024 sponsors. Bryden's Lawyers. Need expert legal advice? That's what they do. Nippies. Make sure you fuel up on Nippies. Pinoir and Ford. Alois Constructions. Legia and Marker Football. The Football New South Wales Men's National Premier League competition is proudly sponsored by Maya, the official board of New South Wales NPL. Just a reminder that all attendees are reminded that they are bound by the Football Australia Spectator Code of Behaviour, together with the terms and admissions of this venue. Any breaches may result in disciplinary action and sanctions. Enjoy tonight's game, get behind your teams, and don't forget.
Hey, 1-1-1-1-1. Welcome to Marconi Stadium, Saturday night football in the NPL New South Wales Men's between the Marconi Stallions and Northwest Sydney Spirit. Alex Molchanoff along with you for all the round 3 action. Delighted to be here. Blah, 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 blah. Cool. Good evening, everybody. A very warm welcome to Fairfield and the Marconi Stadium for tonight's blockbuster clash between two clubs with plenty to play for. Even at this early stage of the season, the Marconi Stallions versus Spirit FC on a Super Saturday night in the NPL New South Wales Men's. Well, Marconi looking up the table after a first-up win here over Wollongong. They followed that up last weekend in an all-action draw at the Illingdon Sports Centre. That set a platform for another solid season under Peter Sekenis. By contrast, Spirit have yet to see the ball hit the back of the nets in either of their first two games. Unbeaten but without a win, two clean sheets without scoring themselves. David Perkovic's team have come searching for their first goal and their first win in one of the toughest away trips in the competition. So, how do they plan to get it? Let's head to the team news. First, Marconi, who are unchanged from that 2-2 draw last weekend at Rockdale under Peter Sekenis. In goal again, number 1, James Hilton. The right back, number 23, Brandon Vella. A central defensive partnership of number 2, Nathan Milgate, and number 4, Anton Mlinaric. And number 18, George Daniel, the left back. A midfield 4 as well on the right. Number 7, Franco Maya starts there again. A midfield 2 of number 8, Daniel Bowman. And number 11, Hiroaki Oyama on the left. One of the league's best creative forces, number 6, Dominic Costanzo. Behind a front 2 of number 10, Marko Jesic, the captain. And the star signing, number 9, James Temelkovski. For David Perkovic, 3 changes from the team that drew 0-0 last weekend at Sutherland in a fiery affair. One of those is in force with Simon Nicholas missing this game through suspension. They line up like this. In goal, number 1, Chris Marquez is there again. Number 17 is the right back, Jake Chidiak. Next to him in the central defensive partnership, number 3, Kyle Shaw, and number 8, the captain, Grant Cornwell. Corey Kavanagh in for Nicholas at left back, wearing number 6. A midfield 3, number 20, Jared Lum anchoring it. Number 4, Jared McKinley in front of him, alongside number 5, Brad Whitworth. A front 3 of number 19, Jesse Michelle, who gets his first competitive start for Spirit. Number 11, Ollie Wigan off the left. And number 9, Yanni Bouzoukas starting up front, wearing number 9. Sam Kelly is our centre referee, and he's got us underway. Expecting direct football from both sides tonight. They both tend to play forward as quickly as possible. Whether that suits Spirit in trying to get another result in an away fixture, having not picked up a win or a goal, as I mentioned in the pre-game so far this season, will be interesting. Alex Molchanoff, delighted to be with you on the Football New South Wales YouTube page, where you can find out 2 concurrent games tonight as well. Blacktown City taking on the Sutherland Sharks, and St George FC facing Sydney FC. It's been an interesting start for a David Perkovic coach side, usually thought of as such an attacking force. It's been their defence that stood up in the early stages. Certainly an experienced midfield helps with that. Jared Lum was a key addition last season. McKinley and Whitworth, both players who bring steel rather than silk as well. It's the front 3 that he's looking to fire, and so he brings Jesse Michelle into the side tonight. Manly Ruringa Jr. early, as is Wigan. And it looks as though in a defensive setup it's going to be a back 5, at least in the early stages. We'll see how that progresses for Spirit as this game goes on. Expected for Marconi to have more of the ball. That's the pattern in which this game has started. Peter Sekenis into his 6th season in charge at the Palace. Yet to progress beyond the top 4 finish. They've made a couple of runs in the finals. Here is Michelle making his first start tonight, and he's won his side a corner. Bounced around a few NPL New South Wales clubs. Most recently at Inter Lions back in 2021. And so a first chance for Spirit to get at their hosts this evening. Jared Lum took the corner, and now he gets it back, lobs it deep towards Shaw. It was an aerial threat. He couldn't reach that one. Cornwall thought he was fouled. Referee Kelly saw nothing wrong. Spirits have retained the ball nonetheless. Corey Kavanagh into the side tonight. Just turned that one over. Gave Meyer a chance to try and play it forward quickly. I mentioned we'd see plenty of that tonight. Didn't work out on that occasion. Whitworth trying to link up with man down the right, Jack Chidiak. He's another new signing from Rydalmere down in League One. Couldn't find the telling ball there. It's been a few ins, but they've all been interesting signings from different places. A couple from over in New Zealand. One of them is Whitworth, the other one Bazukis, who was the top scorer over there with Hamilton Olympic. And the New Zealand State Leagues competition. They won the Central Division of that. Bazukis banging in 20 goals across his 2 seasons, 11 in just 10 matches last year. Hasn't been able to find the back of the net yet in yellow and black. Ball up towards Michelle. Chidiak was coming in trying to claim it, couldn't do so, and then Bauman trying to dribble it out of trouble. It accepted that he'd lose the football, but was happy that his opponent wouldn't be able to control it. Yama trying to play as the conductor. That's gone wrong there. Whitworth picks it off. Chance for Spirit to get forward quickly. Ball just didn't move quickly enough. For McKinley, who's up there again tonight. Almost playing as the furthest forward at the moment. We see Jared Lump do that so often. Wins another one back for Spirit. Bazukis. Looking for McKinley, who's lined up. Maybe not what James Hilton was expecting in the Marconi goal. Had to be alert. Managed to gather it without too much fuss in the end. It's so interesting, the transition in Oyama's game since his move to Marconi from Blacktown last season. Blacktown, who of course brought him over from Japan. It's key in their run to 4th last season. Playing in a much deeper role so far tonight, where his old club certainly tried to use him as a player who could make things happen in the final third. Without wanting to drop into hyperbole, or indeed to anything commentators too routinely say, but it has been a cagey start. She can get with 2 direct sides. We've seen that with Spirit playing certainly their game against the Sharks last weekend. Started in much the same manner. Actually unfolded into quite a tempestuous affair. Sharks lost 2 of their men that night, as well as Spirit losing Simon Nicholas. They might have counted themselves a little fortunate that it wasn't more than just the 1 red card. Turned into something resembling a little bit of a WWE bout rather than a football match. It's not something you associate with Spirit, who have in the past been known for their pretty football, and certainly they were able to produce that at times last year in their first season in the New South Wales top flight. Haven't seen it so far in 2024. Marconi won't make life easy for them. They're not a team that tend to turn the ball over in their own half. They've had a little bit of a turnover on their roster in the off-season. Some key outs, guys like Liam McGinn going to Sydney United, both the Speranza brothers, particularly in the back line, going to Rockdale. Geordie Swibble, who was the top scorer last season with 15 goals, has found his way back overseas. It's a good reverse ball, and a challenge that Cornwall had to get right and did. Franco Meyer has a shake of the head, but it was a clean challenge from Spirit's captain, who of course missed most of that first season up in the NPL's top division after winning promotion with them after a decade and more than 350 appearances for the club. Such a disappointment, but part of a side that's been able to keep those 2 clean sheets, so there's been nothing wrong with the work he's been doing at the back. No Ante Bakmaj to partner him there tonight. The new signing from Sydney United, I should say. Kyle Shaw, who did an admirable job there for the majority of last season, getting the start tonight. He's still a youngster as well, another Spirit junior, just 19 years of age. Part of that has been because of his physical figure. He's a young man who's been up to the physical rigours of State League football to this point. Certainly because of his technical ability as well. Perkovic doesn't tend to suffer players who can't play with the ball at their feet as well. Certainly proven his ability to do that. That's Ken Marquez, who gets a little fancy with things once every so often, but usually is pretty tidy. He was there. Wigan ducking in off the right, trying to lick up with Whitworth. Lum, so often the conductor, has just misjudged the power he needed on that pass. Probably the greatest change we've seen from Spirit and Perkovic in their approach tactically since their move up the leagues, and that's been one necessitated by the new quality of opposition that they're taking on, has been their setup without the ball. Happy to sit in behind and invite teams onto them. It's going to be a difficult test for Marconi tonight because they're a team that enjoy having space to exploit rather in behind their opposition. See how they deal with that tonight. Spirit have grown into this game nicely as we approach the 10-minute mark. Bazooka's allowed to turn. Chidiak. Kavanagh and Whitworth. Searching for options, not finding too many, so he just ducks back to the youngster. Another of the Spirit juniors that populates this side. Bazooka's thought it foul should have gone his way. The referee disagreed. The result earlier in the day was quite something. Match of the round kicked off earlier at Belmore Sports Grounds. Sydney Olympic running out 6-0 winners over Sydney United 58. Some early pressure falling on Zjalko Kalats. Marconi will be hoping to make it a happy day for their side. Of course, United, one of their biggest rivals. Be plenty watching this broadcast tonight that are smiling at that result. Olympic coming off 2 defeats to start their season as well, so quite a turnaround. United now have 2 straight losses. Franco Meyer, well, he's felt he's had, or rather not had, the rub of the green in the early stages of this one. Jared Lum thought it was a free kick, but it's a throw. Hand of apology. Quite how sincere that was. I'll leave up to the viewer. Spirit able to play out again. Marconi haven't been too committed in their press in the early stages, and that's allowed their visitors to play some of the good football that we associate with them on this carpet-like pitch tonight. It's always a beautiful pitch at the Palace, but it was a note for me walking into the ground today, just what terrific condition this ground is in at the moment. One of the benefits of clubs owning their own stadia, of course. Main pitcher Marconi looking absolutely immaculate for this one in round 3. Bowman, first time we've seen him be able to turn on the ball tonight. He's got a Yama who's taken up a wide position this time. Shaw stooping to clear. Cornwall helps him get it away. Trying to run the ball out of trouble was Wigan. That didn't go too well. Costanzo, so often the danger for Marconi over the last couple of seasons. Ducking past a couple. And Cornwall wasn't content to let it go out for a corner, so puts the ball out for a throw. Ayama's ball towards no one in particular. It's a little bit of frustration coming out of the front line in the early stages, just about the quality of service that James Tebulkowski has received to this point. Playing as the higher of the two strikers in front of the captain, Marko Jesic, tonight, as he has in the first two rounds since he's moved from Metro Stars, 2-2. It's been a good start to life in green. Not his first stint in the NPL New South Wales, although he certainly wasn't as big a name. And his last stint with the Sutherland Sharks back in 2021. A couple of years away, down in the NPL Victoria, and then with Metro Stars in the NPL SA, had clubs from all around the country and overseas, indeed, looking for his signature. It's one of Sekenis' strengths at Marconi. He's been able to get in some pretty sought-after players over the last couple of years. Franco Meyer was one of those after a terrific first season in this competition with St George City last year. He's had to go back and do his own defending after giving it away there. Mentioned the different roles that seeing a Yama play. Meyer's playing a slightly different one as well. In this Marconi side, was used exclusively as a wing-back last season by Mirko Yeriel at St George City. Been given a bit more license to get forward in 2024 so far. Costanzo scrapping for it with Whitworth in the middle. And eventually Brad Whitworth's taken it back off him. Chance for Spirit to try and get in behind with Bouzoukas. Chidiak's ball was cut off. Now it's Vela bringing the ball forward. Meyer's ball over the top. He's searching for Tebulkowski. Fairly easily read by Shaw. A little bit more action in the last 5 minutes. Yet to see a clear-cut chance for either side. A little bit more tempo about the game as both sets of players start to find their rhythm. Here's a chance because Meyer almost beating the line and then getting involved in some afters with Chris Marquez. Thankfully for the Uruguayan, Marquez is one of rather cool character. There are a few goalkeepers in this league that wouldn't have responded too well to that challenge, I can assure you. Marquez with a look of bemusement towards the referee, Sam Kelly, who did signal advantage. Marconi didn't have too much trouble sorting out the Spirit equation last season, did the double over them. Foul goes Spirit's way this time. Whitworth, now we saw a bit of tempers flaring in the 20s, certainly. There was a red card in that game in the second half. Referee Sam Kelly's going to have a job on his hands to ensure something similar doesn't happen here. Spirit don't have good memories of this ground. They lost 5-1 here late last season with their spot in the competition for this year already sewn up. That was after falling 2-0 at Christie Park on Good Friday earlier in the season. Cole Cementi getting both goals that day. A hatful of players that are no longer at the club were the Stars late last year. A couple of goals for Marty Fernandez, who's since made way, as well as Geordie Swivel, who I've already mentioned, and Chris Hatfield. Costanzo got on the score sheet that night, and he might be looking at doing something similar here. He's got his dancing feet going. Not able to fashion an opportunity, but has fashioned a throw on the far side. Jesic offering to Bauman. Noah Yama looked to dick between players, and well, he went to ground too easily for the referee's liking, and then committed the foul on Shaw, who'd come across his cover. Pace and trickery of Hiro Oyama befuddling some of the Spirit players. Not enough for them to let him through. Twisting my tongue for a second there as well. Nathan Milgate always commanding in the air, returning at the heart of Marconi's defence. I mentioned the players that have left. He's about the only one remaining from this time last year. Brandon Vella another. He was a regular feature at right fullback. He's got some work to do here because the ball's been played over into his channel. He does tidily enough. He and Jesic, the only two remaining from the days where Marconi were down in NPL 2, taking on a very different looking Spirit side that did feature Grant Cornwall. 2 seasons down there for Marconi. They did the double in the year they won the league and got themselves back up to this tier in 2017, but Spirit did the double against them back in 2016. So it's not always been poor fortune at this ground. Here's Wigan, looking to get on his left foot, which is less favoured. You could probably tell with that strike. Not his best effort. Be interesting seeing him finding his feet since the move from close neighbours Northern Tigers. With Spirit's promotion last season, David Perkovic keen to get him in, and he got his man. Wasn't the best return in his first season back at this level, just 3 goals across his 28 appearances playing as one of the attacking line. Perkovic seeing if he can get him going as a wing back tonight. Forced to do some defending as Ayama turned him around. Has the pace to keep up with most players in the competition. Spirit's front line, who were prominent early, just fading out of this one a little bit. Had plenty of the ball, but they've not managed to get it forward too often. Bowman has it nicked off by a combination of 2. Ended up at the feet of Whitworth. Lovely switch of play for Chidiac. Face to face with Vella, who's seen all those tricks before and times his challenge fairly well. Gets his body in the way to prevent a corner as well. Of concurrent games, as I mentioned a little bit earlier in the broadcast, that we'll keep you updated with tonight. Blacktown City and Sutherland have kicked off. They're about a quarter of an hour into that one with no goals. St George FC have taken a 1-0 lead at the Illingdon Sports Centre over Sydney FC. Still no goal in the opening stages of this one, but a firing shot in there from Jared McClinley. Forced a good save from James Hilton, but the flag was up on the far side. Goal wouldn't have counted if it had found its way through. Too many Spirit bodies in offside positions in front of the goalkeeper. Conley's been the most advanced of the midfield 3, with Lum and Whitworth anchoring in behind him. It's a little bit sloppy from Marconi at the moment. That's an unusual error from George Daniel, starting his 3rd consecutive game for Marconi after signing from the Central Coast Mariners Academy in the off-season. He's turned that one over as well. Lum going to play that ball out into, well, green grass more than anyone in yellow. Can Marconi launch a counter? Certainly they'll look to. Ayama's ball has evaded everyone again. Game with this many quality players in it will begin to open up as it unfolds. So often that's the case for Marconi particularly. It's all been a little bit negative in terms of the way that both teams are looking to get at the other at the moment. A lot of long direct balls without too much real meaning to them. Marconi probably edging the battle in midfield, but really that is splitting hairs at the moment. Uncompromising challenge from McKinley, who receives a talking to from referee Kelly. Crowd in on this Saturday night, and Marconi always draw some sort of following. Certainly they'll be hoping to build that ahead of their ascension to the National Second Division next season, all being well. Should be kicking off around this time in 12 months. Certainly a lot of the players featuring tonight, hoping they're still around for the kickoff of that competition. Certainly know so many supporters of the club are excited about that step back onto a national stage as Costanzo tried something audacious. He's certainly got that in his locker. We saw Harry McCarthy pull out one of those on the opening day for Manly United, and Chris Marquez perhaps breathing a sigh of relief when he saw that ball going wide. Might have had it covered had it fallen inside his post and under his crossbar, but it would have been a close run thing. Preferred to see the ball whistle wide. Yama and McKinley resuming their rather physical battle in midfield. This time the free kick goes against the Japanese midfielder. Spirit have been methodical in their players. Marconi have been more direct. Certainly Spirit have not been able to move the ball quickly enough to really test this well-set Marconi defence to this point. Here's Brendan Vella. Well, Temilkovsky realised he was offside, so he's allowed Marko Jesic to run for it, and smart piece of goalkeeping from Marquez just to make sure that it did trickle over the byline. Subdued atmosphere. I mentioned the crowd's healthy inside the Palace tonight, but probably off the pattern of the game to this point. Just waiting for one side to blink first. Conley trying to win that one in midfield, but Schultz did well to use his back heel to keep it in play, but it was to the advantage of his opposition. Vella. Again, this is where Spirit seem to be pushing Marconi, but they've worked that out very nicely. Well-weighted ball from the right back for Jesic, looking for Temilkovsky early. Vella following up, beat Lum to it. Temilkovsky. Spreads for Costanzo. Jesic and Vella, who just left that touch short. It all falls down. Nicer move from Marconi, starting to get their patterns and rhythm right. Yama again with a rather aimless ball, not for the first time in this first half. Just wonder if that experiment is working quite as Peter Sekenis intended. Cornwall. Kindly, so obviously the target of so many of those balls. That's a better piece of play from the Japanese midfielder. You can see how skillful he is with the ball at his feet. Lenaric playing it centrally for Temilkovsky. Now Costanzo. Wiggins done well to deal with him to this point. Jesic got to that one first. One of the foul wasn't forthcoming, and now the foul goes the opposition's way, which will raise the heckles of the Marconi captain. Alex Molchanov here with you on this Saturday night at the Palace. Gorgeous night for football. Rain, which we had around Sydney earlier today, has made way. How's this pitch looking like an absolute carpet? Certainly conditions the players should be enjoying. Can't say it's been a game played at the highest intensity. A tactical duel to this point rather than a physical one. Marquez's ball forward. Maya has picked that one off. Whitworth stepping through. He felt he was caught as well, and Michelle got to that ball ahead of everyone. Marconi defence seemed to stop for just a moment, and Jesse Michel is showing he can pose a constant threat down Spirit's right-hand side. In for Luis Lobo tonight, the experienced Brazilian, only good enough for the bench. He's probably been Spirit's best attacking threat, and he's won his side another corner here. Just shy of the half-hour mark. Jared Lum over to take another corner. Curling it away from the goalkeeper towards Whitworth. Lenarich did well. Might be fired back in by McKinley, who struck it nicely. Couldn't keep his effort down, though. The opening half hour, you might describe that as the best of the chances for either side in a goal-scoring sense. Franco Maya looking to insert himself into the game, darting down the left. In fact, it's George Daniel who's forward from left full back. And Cornwall, once again, timing his challenge to perfection. Getting the deflection off the Marconi left back, and the crowd are becoming restless, as is Peter Sekenis. Marconi don't feel like they're getting the rub of the green. Well, you can always expect plenty of conversation when Peter Sekenis is on the touchline as the fourth official. He had a tough job in the middle in the 20s game, Ayad Naji. He's going to have some more calming down to do on the far touchline tonight. Perkovic probably not quite as talkative with referees as he's opposite tonight, but he'll certainly let his feelings be known when you feel his team's been wronged. It's been sat for most of the first half, though, which is not something we're too used to see, must be said. Uncharacteristically sloppy touch from Costanzo, did well to win the football back. Lenarich getting his head up. Looking for Temolkovsky, he's been well marshalled by Cornwall at the back to this point. That's a rough challenge from Bowman. Didn't get enough of the ball. And I think Daniel Bowman is going to be right on the edge of a yellow card here. Can understand the frustrations of the Marconi fans because of the delayed whistle, but from our view up here, didn't look any doubt that he'd caught Jared Lum as he attempted to win the ball. Another game going at the moment. Mentioned St George FC have taken a 1-0 lead over Sydney FC. That's how that game sits. Blacktown City have scored the opener against the Sutherland Sharks. Certainly a game they were favourites going into. Spirit trying to get that one going quickly. Referee Kelly wasn't ready. So this game, the only one of the three concurrent that is without a goal to this point. Jared Lum has 5 yellow shirts to aim for in the middle. Hoists it high into the night sky. Lenarich did well to read it and win it. Kavanagh trying a weighted ball over the top. Maya got his head to the initial ball, but Chidiac has won the second. Bazukis for Grant Cornwall. Back to Bazukis! Off the crossbar. How close was Spirit to taking the lead? And Gianni Bazukis just can't find a goal in the NPL New South Wales at the moment. A beautiful effort that was inches away from giving Spirit the lead. Hilton beaten all ends up. I put that exactly where the striker's manual tells you to, and was only denied by the crossbar. Closest either side have come after half an hour here at Marconi. Maya's cushioned ball forward was read well by Cornwall again. Perkovic wants his team to press. You could hear that scream from all the way over on the far side. Wigan getting a foot in of Bowman. Whitworth uncompromising as ever. And now driving his team forward, looking for Bazukis early. Hilton beat everyone to the football. Might have taken Nathan Milgate out in the process, though. Fella was looking back to check on his centre half and ask if he should knock the ball out of play. Milgate says no, he's got plenty of knocks heavier than that one across his career. Norwich for Costanzo. Beautifully read by Whitworth in the middle again. Shaw's clearing ball was, well, it gave Bazookas something to chase. How must he feel at the moment? It's the star signing really for Spirit in the off-season. A little bit of pressure that comes with that. He looks bewildered by the fact that he hasn't opened the scoring. Still a couple of minutes later. Wind blowing across the Marconi Stadium tonight as well from behind us. Would have just pushed that ball a little bit further away from Hilton as well. It was all perfect. Just for an inch. Marquez asking why the ball needed to be exactly on the spot. It is now. If you're just joining us, Alex Molchanoff with you on the Football New South Wales broadcast of this NPL Round 3 men's clash between Marconi Stallions and Northwest Sydney Spirit FC. Yanni Bazookas' efforts 5 minutes ago, bouncing back off the crossbar for Spirit, is the closest either side have come in a cagey affair as we approach half-time. Fellas looking for that long ball again. Shaw had to get there and did, with Temolkovsky lurking behind him. That has very much been the pattern of the match. Marconi probably edged the possession statistics, but it's been a close-run thing. A lot of direct balls from both sides looking to get him behind the well-set defences of the opposition. David Perkovic electing to go with a back five tonight. Anticipating the threat that Marconi would offer with their pace. Haven't really had an opportunity to use it to this point. Such has been the well-disciplined display put on by their opposition. Yes, it's trying to change that by getting involved in midfield, but it's one back there as well. Jared Lum getting Spirit forward now. Jesse Michelle in his first Spirit start with a searching ball, easily picked off by Hilton in the end though. Has that left any room for Marconi to counter in? Shaw easing Temolkovsky out of that one. He's kind of frustrated figure so far in this one. 2 goals in his first 2 games in a Stallions jersey. Puts him only behind Lockie Scott in the very early iterations of the Golden Boot standings. Plenty of names up and about that. Roy O'Donovan, Alek Urashevsky, the last 2 winners are sure to be in conversations there again. But Temolkovsky off his fine season in the NPL South Australia last year. He got 27 in 23 appearances, by far the best season of his young career at 25. The promise is very much there. Bazookas was just wrestled off it by Ayama. Fairly, said the referee. Whitworth stretching and getting the ball, but catching plenty of Ayama as well. And he's going to be the first name in Sam Kelly's notebook tonight. Hasn't been shy of a challenge, the Englishman, to this point. Another one who's come over from New Zealand after stints with a couple of clubs over there. Was last in Australia up in the Whit Sundays with Magpies Crusaders. Not a bad part of the world. Certainly Sydney's northwest isn't either, but he's been to some pretty places in the last 5 years of his life. Brad Whitworth, 29-year-old midfielder. He's copped the first booking of this clash tonight. Norwich for Jesic, who's dropped deeper and deeper as this first half has got on. Wasn't seeing too much of it high up the pitch, so looking to get himself involved, the captain of Marconi. Shidiak's ball forward. He's invited a couple of headers, and they've both been won by players in yellow. Michelle chasing what looked to be a lost cause. Eventually was made that by George Daniel. Franco Maya. Left-footed player off the right again tonight. Lenaric. Again, Spirit very happy to let Marconi have it in their own half. Marconi's starting to get more numbers forward, but it has taken them a little while to get to that stage of play. Spirit with every player back inside their own half at the minute. Well-weighted ball over the top by Lenaric. It's released Costanzo, who's always a danger running at defenders. He's turned him inside and out. Couldn't find Tebelkovsky though. And a wild clearance from Lum goes behind for a Marconi corner. So often in these situations, the Marconi Stallions look to young Dominic Costanzo, of such terrific stock. Son of former Marconi player, of course, Angelo. Spent plenty of time in the A-League in Adelaide. Good ball in from Costanzo. It's gone straight in. A disaster for Spirit from the corner, and Dominic Costanzo has opened the scoring. A completely inadvertent Olympico. Spirit hold their hands out, questioning the decision from the referees. I don't know what they're expecting. There wasn't any foul in there that I could see. And the Marconi Stadium is set to light by Dominic Costanzo. One lapse in concentration from their opposition and they fall behind. Ball allowed to bounce from the corner and it nestled in the back of the net. Marquez in disbelief. It's the first goal the Spirit have conceded this season. They won't be adding a third clean sheet. A streak of more than 3 hours without conceding a goal is over. And for the first time this season, they're going to have to try and come from behind. I mentioned at the top of the broadcast what a tough away trip Marconi is for any opposition. Spirit haven't won here since 2016 in the league. Only a couple of visits, but it's because of moments like that. They just seem to fall the Stallions' way in this stadium. Not one out of the coach's manual, but they'll take it. Don't draw pictures on the score sheet. Certainly Marconi fans won't be too worried about the manner in which they've gone ahead. The fact is they have, and now Spirit are going to be drawn out of this low block that we've seen them take up for the majority of the first half at some stage, and that's going to open up gaps for those so talented attacking players that they have available to them. Second straight game for Dom Costanzo that he scored against Spirit as well. Not quite as classy a finish as his goal in this corresponding fixture a year ago, but one he'll take with both hands just as he took that one. Goals on back-to-back weekends for him as well. Got into double figures last season. Be hoping to do that again this. Certainly Peter Sekenis will. The goal scoring threat he holds in Marko Jesic and James Tebelkovsky. Not to mention Cole Chimenzi, who we haven't seen so far this season either. No shortage of firepower for the Stallions. Fourth place, their best finish since being promoted back into the top division of NPL New South Wales back in 2018. They're aiming higher this year and they're going the right way about it. Hasn't been their classiest performance in this first half, but the fact of the matter is they've not conceded and they've taken the lead. Tebelkovsky battling for it. That's really been the extent of his work in this first half. He's been rather isolated through the centre of Marconi's attack. Certainly Spirit have flooded numbers through the middle to prevent any service getting to him. Plan was working to a point until an unfortunate moment at the back. Now Ollie Wiggins going to have to try and get himself into the game a little bit more, because he's one who can create something. He's created an attacking opportunity here because he's drawn the foul from Hiro Oyama. Spirit would love to strike back here. Would just give them some impetus going into the halftime break. A real gut punch, conceding that goal at that point in the match when they looked to have things really under control. Marconi hadn't had a clear-cut chance. Marquez is still yet to make a save in this game. Hoping his team could find an equaliser here. Jared Lum's hoisted a few of these set pieces in without too much threat to this point. Can they find something here? It was something they did so well last season, Spirit. It's key to them staying up. Good ball in. Fairly easily dealt with by Mlinaric, who's proved a difficult defender to get past both in the air and on the ground so far in this first half. He's had a good start to life at Marconi. A couple of Spirit plays converging on that one. That left Vela all alone to clear the knockdown. Kavanagh with something more agricultural than he's capable of, but Millgate returns the favour and the football to Spirit. Time ticking away from them late in this first half as we approach stoppage time. Begin with a rare giveaway. And now it's going to be Spirit's turn to try and break down a very well set Marconi backline. Well knocked down by Michel. Looking for Lum. Might just break for him. Yama just getting back there in the nick of time. And Bowman with the confidence to dribble it clear. Bazookas putting the pressure on him in his own corner. Lovely spin. And then Bazookas would have been offside, so he's just happy to let that ball trickle behind for a goal kick. Probably the easiest way to sum up how that goal has changed this game is that every draw, like that moment we just saw there, those little draws were really being seen as wins for Spirit. Now the case is very much reversed. Marconi happy with the status quo and will be happy to defend their lead. Weren't able to do it last weekend. Rockdale found two equalisers after falling behind twice. With respect to Spirit's attackers, they don't quite have the strike power of last year's top goal scorer, Alek Urashevsky. Did get a goal from the penalty spot last weekend. How creative can they be in their approach to try and find one here? Certainly James Hilton, their young goalkeeper, who had a breakout year last season. He's taken that #1 jersey for himself. Not for the first time tonight. Costanzo playing with so much confidence, trying to catch Marquez out from a long, long way out. Referee Kelly's whistle brings the first half to a close. One that looked as though it was heading for a 0-0 stalemate at halftime. That was broken by Dominic Costanzo, who scored direct from a corner kick after the ball was allowed to bounce in the penalty area by Spirit FC. A goal they'll be disappointed with conceding, particularly after they had quite a bit of possession and some of the better chances of the first half before that moment. But as the players head down the tunnel at the Palace, Marconi Stadium on this Saturday night, it's Marconi Stallions 1, Northwest Sydney Spirit FC 0. Welcome back to Marconi Stadium. The second half of this round 3 clash about to get underway between the Stallions and Spirit FC. Dom Costanzo's goal, direct from a corner, is the goal that separates them. Yanni Pazukis was very unlucky not to give Spirit the lead on the half-hour mark when he struck the crossbar off James Hilton's net. That's the closest the visitors have come so far this evening. And they've done pretty well defensively until that point. Now the question is, can they come out and find their first goal of the season? The defence have been so stout. Can they show something free-flowing in this second half? Alex Molchanoff along with you on this Football New South Wales broadcast of the NPL. They're getting underway. Spirit in their yellow and black, kicking from left to right in their second half. Marconi in their traditional green, white and red. What Spirit, who probably edged the game in terms of chances in that first half, weren't able to show anything for it on the scoreboard, as they haven't all season. David Perkovic does have attacking options on his bench tonight. Haven't brought you those two benches, so we'll do that as the second half begins. Cam Windust is there for Peter Sekenis and the Stallions. He's wearing number 3. Number 14, Dylan Susevic. Number 17, Milislav Popovic, who came off the bench to score a goal in their opening game of the season against Wollongong. Number 21, Yakov Marbasa. Number 24, Mackenzie Siron is the reserve goalkeeper. And number 25, Jonathan Suarez. Hold the Spirit lineup because Marconi are making another foray forward here with Bellman. Now Costanzo, who's got 2 goals in his last 2 games. Ducking inside, that one's cut off by Lum. Only falls as far as George Daniel. 20-year-old left fullback who's looked so assured at this level after coming across from the Central Coast Mariners, where he didn't see too much time for their academy side last season. Under Abbas Saad for the majority of that. He's fit in nicely to this Stallions lineup on the left side of their defence. Temolkovsky, didn't see too much of him in the first half. Space should start to open up for him in the second. That's a danger that Spirit are all too aware of. He and Costanzo, looking to link up. Ollie Wigan cutting that pass out. Bazookas, who struck the crossbar for Spirit in the first half, coming deep to try and retrieve. Milgate using his head. Vela. And a lot of balls like this from Marconi trying to get in behind the Spirit's defence. Hasn't brought too many rewards. The goal coming direct from that corner late in the first half. Jesse Michel, who's acquitted himself well in his first start for Spirit at first grade level in a competitive affair. Featured a couple of times off the bench in the first 2 weeks. Anton Lenaric partnering up with Nathan Milgate and assuming a lot of the ball playing responsibility out from the back. The signing from the Oakley Cannons last year. He had a solid season in the NPL Victoria. Question now is, how long will Spirit sit in this deep block? So aware of the attacking options that Marconi have at their disposal, including a couple I listed off the bench there. Should Sekenis look there in the second half. For Spirit, they've got a couple there as well. Number 12, Titus Macaria. Number 15, Braden Burr. Number 21, Luis Lobo, the Brazilian. Number 28, Zach Chiani. And number 36, Kaya Williams are there. Number 22, Jack Greenwood is their reserve goalkeeper tonight. Marquez looking to play out with his feet. Not as successful as he was quite a few times in the first half. In fact, I'm looking the wrong way. Hilton playing it out. He did it quite adeptly. Here's Tebelkovsky allowed to turn. Looking to juggle it up for himself. Problem with Spirit's attack in the first half certainly wasn't the structure of their build-up. It's all very well planned and nice and neat and tidy. It was the pace at which they were moving the ball. Marconi able to respond to everything. Ollie Wiggins' running ability may come into consideration in this second half. Lum looking the direct route. Swept up by Millgate. Now Bowman. Another of the plenty of former Central Coast Mariners featuring for Marconi tonight. It's a nice ball out from Shaw. Making his first start of the season after featuring regularly in that position last season. I mentioned Marconi might start to have a little bit more space on the attack. Cornwall getting across, doing some good work on Costanzo, but he concedes the throw. Marconi were happy with the pace of the game in the first half. They'll certainly be happy with it now, holding this 1-0 lead. Thanks to the man on the ball, Dominic Costanzo. Did have a look during the halftime break at the replay a couple of times just to make sure that Marko Jesic didn't get a slide touch. Certainly from the angle of our camera, it didn't look as though that was the case. So I'm pretty sure that goal will be awarded to Dom Costanzo. Hiroyama playing as the deepest of the three midfielders tonight for Marconi. Or the two midfielders, actually. Just he and Bauman. 4-4-2 with Jesic dropping in to make it a 3 every now and then. The game has been played in this compact zone of the pitch thanks to Spirit's low block. There hasn't been too much space in there for either side. Whitworth's probably been the best exponent of picking it up across the course of the match so far. Michel exploring it now, but his ball is loose, given away to Vela. Say the same of his ball forwards, and Kavanagh was caught by Jesic as he strode forward. Only one booking handed out by referee Sam Kelly in the first half, and he's just going to have a very firm word with the Marconi skipper, because that was a somewhat dangerous attack that was developing after Marconi had given the ball away. Mention the threat they offered from set pieces. They did it so well on plenty of occasions last year. Might be a route to goal for them tonight. Jared Lum's ball playing ability from these dead balls is well known. Hasn't featured too often tonight. Hasn't really been able to find the best of it, but Marconi can expect to be tested if they continue to give away free kicks and corners in this sort of area of the pitch. One with a half step and then searching deep for Cornwall had come forward. Costanzo back to do the defending, but he's conceded the corner. Spirit haven't won here in their last couple of visits. Blown out 5-1 last season. Late in the year. Have been really set up to make sure a similar sort of result doesn't follow them here. They trailed 2-0 at the break a year ago. Can they find the equaliser? That's a dangerous ball towards Cornwall. Didn't actually get his head on the ball. It was Polonaric, I think. And then he won the seconds as well. Enough for Brandon Vela to clear. David Perkovic plays ball boy. His side yet to find a goal in 2024. 2 0-0 draws in their opening two games against Sydney FC and then last week against the Sutherland Sharks. That game turned into a rather fractious affair. This game hasn't followed that pattern at all. It must be said, from a neutral perspective, it certainly looked as though the Sharks catalysed a lot of that last weekend. Spirit not an ill-tempered team in nature, certainly weren't last year. Yama put under pressure, but Bazookas caught him. Some Marconi fans felt they weren't getting the rub of the green in the first half. I don't know whether that's quite a fair assessment, but through green glasses, Certainly that was the thought. Won't care now that they've got the lead. Bowman did well to evade the challenge. His ball forced Costanzo wide. He's looking for the support of Daniel. Cornwall hard-working as ever, trying to keep the ball in play, but his clearance is only as far as Costanzo. He's looking for Temolkovski. Easily cleared by Shaw. There's no one in yellow up the pitch to retrieve it, though. That's the pattern of the game that will need to change for the visitors if they're to get anything out of it. Fellas ball forward. Kavanagh, who's really slotted in as the third of the central defensive trio tonight. His first start of the year in for Simon Nicholas, who was suspended after being red carded last weekend. Expect to be missing him for a couple more weeks as well. Here's Millgate. Capable of a goal, but he hasn't scored one for quite some time. Won't be asked of him tonight. Costanzo. Can he unpick? Yama was making the run forward, and that's left a rather big hole at the base of Marconi's midfield. Kindly's ball wide. Had a couple of cracks at goal. This time he looks to feed Michelle. Wigan linking up with Whitworth, whose hands go to his head after the misplaced pass. Frustration starting to set in for Spirit as we approach the hour mark here at the Palace. Palace that for Marconi has so often been a fortress for them. Certainly their last two fourth place finishes in 2022 and 2023 have been built on the back of such terrific form at this ground. Costanzo for Jesic. This is nicer from Marconi, building through Ayama. Bazooka's tracking back and winning the ball back fairly. More and more attacks coming in transition for both teams as this game wears on. Nice piece of defending from Brendan Vella. It's reliable as ever. Nice stretch from Bowman and a lovely touch to keep the ball in play. The pass didn't quite match it. Appeals from a handball from the Marconi supporters, not heeded. And then Ayama's caught Lum as he looked to turn. Now he'll set up to perhaps play a ball that allows more yellow shirts to get forward. There's a couple of games we're updating you on from elsewhere around the grounds tonight as well. Blacktown City took a 3-0 lead into half-time against Sutherland. That game just back underway. St George FC have taken a 2-0 lead over Sydney FC. A little bit of an upturn of the form book in that one down at the Illingdon Sports Centre at this point. Shaw's header did well to make anything of that. It was just a lobbed ball in from Jared Lum, and the centre-half wanted it more than anyone in green. Forces Hilton really into his first meaningful save of the game. Lovely turn from Jesic. He just saw off the attentions of Kavanagh. Flicked over the top by Ayama, and Temolkovski started in an offside position. A couple of games coming tomorrow. Marconi could move as high as second if results hold tonight. Very early iteration of the NPL New South Wales League table. Western Sydney Wanderers, besides the only team with 100% records after 2 rounds. They're in action again tomorrow, hosting Rockdale Illingdon. 3 p.m. kickoff. Wolves and St George City doing battle down at Albert Butler Memorial. The first game down in Wollongong of the competition on Sunday afternoon. An earlier kickoff than that up at Plume Park, the other extremity in terms of north and south of this competition. Mariners hosting Hills United. Newly promoted Hills United, and Harpier, Leichhardt and Manly United completing the slate tomorrow on a 4:30 kickoff at Leichhardt Oval. Two teams with a win and a loss to start their seasons. Marconi yet to taste defeat and in pole position to take all 3 points here tonight. Still a lot of football to be played. Certainly Spirit haven't offered them too many problems in their defensive half of the pitch to this point. Costanzo looking for the angle ball. I tell you what, if Meyer had gambled, he might have been first to that one. We're going to see our first substitution of the match. Yanni Pazoukas was very unlucky not to have the opening goal of this game when his effort in the first half struck the crossbar of Jimmy Hilton's goal. He's removed without finding the back of the net, replaced by the Brazilian, Luis Lobo. It's good for 5 goals last season under Perkovic in his first season with Spirit after moving from Hakoah. It's Jesse Michel running at Mlinaric, giving him a headache or two. Did well to hold him up and just invite Daniel back in cover. He's found Costanzo. This is where he loves to be. Whether he or Temulkovsky could nick it off Grant Cornwall, though. It's probably been Spirit's best back there so far. Brilliant challenge from Bowman. Has he found the ball in behind? He has. Myers one-on-one. Touch just too heavy. And Marquez able to play sweeper. Perkovic wanted the throw. I'm not sure he was ever going to get it. Seen in the last 5 minutes the threat that both teams can offer in transition. Both trying to limit those moments of opportunity for the other. Jared McConley, who was so critical to Spirit going forward in the opening 15 minutes, has faded out of this game and is looking a little bit leggy as well. He's got through a lot of work. Former Mount Druitt Town Ranger. Once again, Spirit player Michel this time looking to get on the end of that ball, rather isolated. Well, that's a poor ball from Meyer, uncharacteristic, and it's led off a little bit by Chidiak's, well, almost overzealousness in getting that ball back forward. Saint Spirit consents. The time and opportunity is quickly running out. Mustn't panic though. Plenty of time left on the clock. Been able to create chances. Few they've been, but certainly not non-existent. Probably get a moment or two their way just before this game ends. Costanzo was trying to link up with Iyama, and then two Spirit players coming together. From up here, they look very, very fortunate that Sam Kelly blew his whistle. Rather firm conversation taking place between the Spirit captain and the referee. I'm not sure what more Grant Cornwall was looking for, considering he got the free kick. Costanzo with a wry smile as he returns to his left wing position. Perhaps the two attitudes just summing up how both teams are feeling about the position they're in at this game, in this game at the moment. Wigan once again looking to be the catalyst for something good for Spirit in an attacking sense. All fell down, but once again it was him looking to drive forward with the football from right wing back. Guess that he will continue to get further and further forward as this second half wears on. Jared Lum has been entrusted with a lot of the set pieces with the ball on the ground. Now he's got the ball in his hands for what looks to be a setup for a long throw. That's exactly what comes. It's towards Shaw, who's been the target all night. Loose challenge from Costanzo, just pulled out of it in time. Wigan, again looking to get on the end of a 1-2. And again, Mlinaric is there to tidy up. Kavanagh high in the air. Not dealt with by Jesic, and Michel, it was an awkward one for him. Managed to get his head on the ball, but couldn't bring it under his spell. Mentioned Mlinaric a little bit tonight, and will continue to do that. Player with A-League experience. There's a few of those out there tonight as well. He had 14 games with Brisbane Roar as a youngster. represented Australia at under-17s and under-18s level, so certainly his ability was identified from a young age, and it's another play that was sought after by a number of clubs both this side and south of the border in the off-season. The winning silverware with Oakley Cannons down in Victoria last year. Marconi, we talked about their losses at the top of the broadcast, not least the Speranza brothers, who've made their way down to Rockdale. But those gaps seem to have been filled pretty well, with quite a bit of depth on their bench tonight as well. It's another beautifully timed challenge from the Marconi centre half to win inside the throat. Costanzo had it nicked off him by Wigan. He's looked to give him headaches going back and has managed to peg him back in his own half. Quite as I'm sure Perkovic planned. In fact, he's got the goal. Will give him no relief, but that's been the case. Lobo showing the trickery that's associated with so many footballers out of his part of the world. He's done well to fashion his side of throw. This is rather less Brazilian, the set-up spirit of taking from these throw-ins at the moment, but as with everything, there's a plan to it. On towards Lobo, and Hilton didn't deal with it. It's stuck in by Jesse Michel. On his starting debut for Spirit, he gets the equaliser. This time it's Marconi's defence who couldn't deal with the set piece. Hilton's punch was poor, and Michel took full advantage. 1-1. The Spirit attackers had, well, cut frustrated figures as a collective. But when the moment came, they seized it. And Marconi are going to have to try and win this one again. It's all looking a little bit like their opening fixture against the Wolves in round one at the moment. They found a winner that night, thanks to a substitute. And now that defensive wall that they had to try and go through in the first half is going to be built back up again. Can Costanzo be the key to unlocking it? Daniel with the underlapping run, and he's beaten Lum to the football into the area. Temelkovski for Jesic. And then Franco Meyer's effort was always headed wide. Encouraging signs for the Stallions, but that will be no consolation after conceding the goal. 2 goals really out of nothing tonight. Set piece is not dealt with by defences that have otherwise held up their end of the bargain. Not only Michel's first goal in Spirit colours, their first goal of the season. Just like Marconi's, not the prettiest, but particularly functional. Oh, and a chance there for McKinley, who spotted that Hilton was off his line. Ended up as fielding practice for the Marconi goalkeeper though. Meyer spinning away from the challenge and drawing a touch from Chidiak. Well, doesn't this give us a final 20 minutes or so to savour? It's been a slow burn, this one. I feel like we're going to have a sparkling finish though, and Michel, full of confidence from his goal, wins it back but then turns it over. Ayama. They've looked for those little slide rule passes through the Spirit defence consistently tonight without too much success. Michel running at Mlinaric again. It's the Stallions centre half who wins out. This time it's Meyer looking to line up a direct ball. This one's cut out by Kavanagh. And without much support around him, McKinley with a weak turnover. It's the second time in a couple of minutes he's come up with that, so he's going to try and help Grant Cornwall do the defending. He's getting as close to Costanzo as consistently as he can, the Spirit captain. Costanzo, who was smiling happily a few moments ago, is now protesting to referees. The comfort that Marconi felt just 5 or 10 minutes ago has rather disappeared. Certainly they're still seeing more of the football, and that gives them the opportunity to do something with it. The question is, how creative can they be? And then a wrestling match between Vela and Chidiac on the far side. Well, there was always going to be afters there, weren't there? Chidiac was already fired up after a decision didn't go his way a couple of moments ago. I think the free kick's gone Marconi's way. Clap of hands between the man he brought down, Vela, who is a rather cooler customer. Squared up, and now all is forgotten. No booking, but Jesse Michel, who got the equaliser just a few moments ago, is down, so he's going to need some treatment. It's all come to life here at the Palace. Entertainment worthy of royalty in the last 5 minutes. So Peter Sakenis will take the time for an impromptu team talk. Perkovic will do the same for Spirit. Quick look around the grounds again. There's been no change in the scores at either game. Though Blacktown City have had a man sent off since we last checked in there. Still with a 3-0 lead though. Just under half an hour to go at Landon Stadium. I think they'll be pretty content that they're able to see it out. Michelle and Sam Kelly, I guess, know each other on some level. Michelle grew up playing his junior football, where Sam Kelly grew up doing his refereeing in the Manly Warringah Football District. Sure they've made acquaintance before tonight. Over to check on his well-being, and he looks as though he'll be fit to rejoin us in a moment's time. Meanwhile, amongst all that, Marconi have a free kick. You'll remember, after the two fullbacks, Vela and Chidiac, got on the wrong side of each other, and it's rather wasted by Franco Meyer. After such a bright opening 20 minutes or so, as I'd say the level of his performance tonight has fallen somewhat, the Uruguayan. Is Michelle back with us, back on the football, drawing Millgate out of the Marconi defence. Yarmart getting the touch off Whitworth and winning the throw for Spirit. "20 minutes to play at Marconi Stadium. Just under that now. Score's locked at 1-1 thanks to Dominic Costanzo's first half goal direct from a corner. The equaliser from Jesse Michel, making his starting debut for Spirit tonight and getting their first goal of the season. A wait of nearly 3 hours. Or a wait of more than 3 hours, I should say. Should match that with the fact that it took longer than that amount of time for them to concede their first goal of the season as well. So some action for Spirit fans tonight, which has been of the right kind, certainly in terms of their own goal, but of goals of any kind after what was a game best forgotten last weekend against Sutherland. Marconi's designs on a top 2 place at the end of the night under threat here. Dancing feet of Ollie Wigan made their way forward again. Cornwall wanted, or McKinley rather, wanted the free kick as he made his way back. Shaw diving through again, and he was under pressure from Temulkovsky, who'd taken up an offside position. So it'll be a Spirit free kick deep in their own half. Both teams trying to get some fire out of each other. Sekenis has waited a while for his changes, but they're about to come. Still only seen one substitution from either side. That was the introduction. Luis Lobo up front for Spirit in place of Yanni Bouzoukas. Michel using his body to get in the way. Whitworth's strike took a deflection, and Hilton had his heart in his mouth as that ball deflected up onto the roof of his net. Ultimately, behind for a Spirit corner. And you'll remember, it wasn't a favourable outcome last time Marconi were forced to defend one of Jared Lum's set pieces, although that one came out of his hands rather than off his right boot, as this one's about to. Couple of changes being readied for Marconi on the far side. They'll follow this set piece for Spirit. Lum again the taker. 6 bodies inside the box to aim for. Shaw undoubtedly will be the target. Whitworth, it was peeling away and didn't make the contact he so would have loved to. Not for the first time tonight. His head ends up in his hands before he retreats to his midfield position. Be interesting to see the form of these changes from Sekenis. Undoubtedly one of them will be Miloslav Popovic, who played the hero in round 1. Possibly it might be Jonathan Suarez who joins him. Another attacking option. The youngster. Nicely done from Costanzo to keep the ball in play. Ball that asked plenty of him from Milgate. Lenarich's ball for Oyama wasn't the cutest either, but the Japanese midfielder worked it out. Milgate. Vela. Back to the Stallions centre half. I fear Tamulkovsky might have stepped offside. No, he's timed it nicely this time. Draws Shaw wide with him. Couple of yellow shirts back in cover. Meyer was trying to get his body in the way. He managed to do that. And the ball just rolled on. Mlinaric and now Daniel. Costanzo. Beautiful step over to see off Wigan. How's the ball in? Just a bit ahead of Tamulkovsky. Easily claimed by Marquez. Hasn't put a foot wrong tonight other than the goal to Costanzo in the first half, which was allowed to bounce into the back of the net by Spirit from a corner. Michel, lovely touch. Releases Wigan. 2 Forest Kalani Football Club juniors from the Manly Association linking up for Spirit. Lovely ball from Whitworth for Lobo. Oh. Meyer coming across. And a heavy challenge on Lobo. Sees the throw and go Spirit's way. So as I guessed, Jonathan Suarez is going to be introduced. Popovic is the other one. And Franco Meyer, who's got through a lot of work, is going to be one of those taken off. Marko Jesic hands the captain's armband to Brandon Vela and makes his way off as well. No goal tonight, as he got in the home fixture here back in 2017, where he got a brace that day 7 years ago. No such luck tonight. Stallions still searching for the goal that would prove the winner. Spirit fill there. Chances are just improving by the minute as well, though, as a strike's there from Chidiac, and it took a touch on its way through. Another Spirit corner. Pressure building for the visitors, who are looking the more likely at the moment. Alex Molchanov joining you at Marconi Stadium tonight. What has turned into a tense tussle after what was a slow burn for much of the opening half. The second stanza has really shot to life. Lum swinging this one in. Mlinaric halfway. Lobo! Didn't catch it quite as he was looking to. And Hilton was comfortable that it was always headed wide of his goal. Always shows such good technique, Luis Lobo. Almost expect him to be doing better there, considering his position and usually the true nature of his technique. Didn't quite catch that one as he was looking to. But Stallions coming under some pressure here. The hosts, they can't find a way out of their own half, certainly with control of the football. I'll tell you what, how about that control of the football from Hiroaki Ayama? Bowman just lets him down with his control. Vela looking to take up the attack. It's cut out by Whitworth. Now he might have Chidiac going the other way. Look to turn back in. He had numbers ahead of him. Eventually finds Lobo. And then Vela recovering from his initial error to retrieve the football. First touch for Miloslav Popovic tonight. Had Lobo worried enough to foul him. Referee Sam Kelly happy to play advantage. Bowman for Vela. Marconi showing a little bit more sharpness about their work getting forwards. They've been knocked into gear really by the pressure that Spirit are putting on them. Millgate. Yama for Vela, who's getting further and further forward as this second half wears on. Popovic looking to draw one of the three central defenders out of Spirit's block. You can see them lined up across the pitch. There's Temolkovsky this time dropping deep. Evades the attentions of McKinley. Oh, and it was a clever ball over the top, but it was missing a runner. Having some stern words with Tom Costanzo as well. Wanted his run to look a little different than it did. Frustration starting to get to the host. It looks as though Spirit were going to be that for so long tonight. Ayama almost getting there before Marquez could release. Referee signalling advantage again, and Spirit have got an attacking throw from which to base themselves in Stallions' half. And now it's Jake Chidiac who's hit the deck, asking for play to be stopped. Interesting position for Spirit now in this game, considering where they were early in the match, considering the two draws they've had so far this season. Certainly would have liked 3 points from at least one of those. This game the toughest on paper of their opening month of the season. But it's one they've come into just after everything that's unfolded in the last couple of weeks, needing something from. Suddenly the scenario has become a little more desperate, I think, than they would have liked. That's not to say this is a must-win game today. It's not. And considering all that's occurred with 15 minutes or so to go, they'd still probably go home happy with a point, but there's a feeling certainly amongst the players out there at the moment they can nick all three off Marconi tonight. Got to be careful defensively too, though. Bowman could only pick out his opposite number, Cornwall. Lost a bit of Marquez because the back past header fell outside his penalty area. Marquez is such a clever operator with his feet, though. It's a beautiful ball to pick out Michel. Get Spirit out of pressure. He's done that a number of times tonight, Chris Marquez. Millgate's a little sloppy coming out of his own ends. It's starting to build up. For Marconi. Long throw from Lum. Was looking for Michel. Picked up by Lobo. Lovely ball back to Lum. Has a chance to deliver. Searching cross, which didn't really have a player attacking it. Chidiac was a little late arriving. Popovic trying to wiggle his way out of trouble, which he's managed to do. This could set up a counter for Marconi with Suarez and now Ayama, and that's a very cynical foul from Grant Cornwall. Sam Kelly quick with the booking, and that's allowed Marconi to take it quickly. Good piece of refereeing. Costanzo running at Wigan, who dived into the challenge, and there was not enough contact. Sam Kelly had a perfect view. Wigan dived in but pulled out of the challenge. Costanzo, anticipating the contact, went down before knowing the extent of it. Little let off for Spirit there, though. That's the danger Dom Costanzo offers down the left of Marconi's attack. It's ever present. Just a moment's concentration. Lapsing. And they can be punished. Ollie Wiggin smart enough to pull out of that challenge after leaving his feet. If he hadn't, say Chris Marquez would be facing a penalty rather than being able to clear out this goal kick, which is uncharacteristically poor. It's lucky Temulkovski couldn't bring it under his spell, but still able to be brought forward by Vela, and now Popovic. Face to face with his opposite number, and he's felled, and there's a free kick for Marconi, right in front of the assistant on the far side. Amir Hossein Hosnani helping out referee Kelly with that decision, which looked pretty clear. Not sure how much help he needed, really, the centre referee. So it's been Spirit with a barrage of set pieces on Marconi's goal. Now it's the host's opportunity. Hiro Oyama is over to take it. Everything set for the Japanese midfielder. Plenty to aim for. It's a deep ball. Millgate arguing he was wrestled over. Costanzo with a wild effort. Oh, and now there's a headbutt there from Dominic Costanzo. There was certainly a movement of the head towards Grant Cornwall, right in front of Sam Kelly, who had a good view. And Costanzo will be very lucky to not escape this with at least a booking. Or is it just going to be a stern talking to? Costanzo immediately apologetic, but he does pick up the booking. The force of the movement, not enough to see red. Very, very lucky. Just the third booking now of the night. After Cornwall's earlier in the half. That's the first that it's gone to Marconi. Certainly from a Marconi point of view, Grant Cornwall has been the antagonist tonight, but his work defensively has been outstanding. And for Spirit, he'll always be their hero. Launches another one away from their end of the pitch. It was misread by Vela too, which allowed Lobo to steal onto it. Looking for a flat ball. It was a beautifully designed through ball from Luis Lobo, and Michel was only inches away from getting on the end of it. Costanzo firing something similar the other way. Popovic lays it up. Bauman. Marconi happy to slow the tempo for just a moment. That's a really poor piece of play from Brandon Vela, who was on a completely different page to Popovic there. Frustration from both coaches. Ground announcer here's been keen to try and rile this Marconi crowd up. Been somewhat subdued tonight. Certainly weren't when Costanzo gave them the lead. Quite a racket, but reverberated around this old ground. I think in this second half, it's been more noises of concern because Spirit have really made a game of this. Their best performance of the season so far, I think, regardless of the result. Well, Temulkovski's taken the ball off Wigan. Could put a real red mark on it. Oyama trying to almost dribble it into the feet of his striker, and it all fell over at the feet of Grant Cornwall again, who's done well to search out Luis Lobo. Danger coming the other way for Marconi. Vela recovering, holding him up. Looking for yellow shirts, there's not too many up with him. Eventually, Jared Lum has arrived. Doesn't mind a shot from distance. He thinks better of it this time. Michel. A good piece of defensive work from Suarez, who's been tidy since coming on. Costanzo with a typically clever touch. Suarez trying to steer the ball through that wall of Kyle Shaw and then bundles over McKinley, who faded out of the game through the middle part of this match, but He's managed to reinsert himself. Now a couple more changes coming, one for either side. Looks as though, Brad Whitworth is going to be the man removed for David Perkovic. That's Daniel Bowman making way for Marconi. Yakov Malbasa is his replacement. Let's get the identity of that Spirit substitute in a second for you. Meantime, Michelle trying to turn past George Daniel, but he's got the ball where he likes it, driving forward. With green shirts with him, Costanzo screaming for it, eventually reached him. Again looking to fashion a ball off his right foot. Again, it's cut out by Kyle Shaw. Been a theme of the match. First touch for the Spirit substitute. Zach Chanti. He's a big frame up there, and he's going to be a headache in this stoppage time period for Marconi to try and deal with. If you have just joined us, Marconi took the lead right towards the end of the first half. Dom Costanzo scoring direct from a corner. Equaliser came from Jesse Michelle just after the hour mark for Spirit. After a long throw wasn't dealt with by the Stallions, and he bundled the ball home for their first goal of the season. An important equaliser that could save them a point from the Palace. Game of real tactical engagement between the two coaches and the two sets of players has turned into a more physical, free-flowing one in the second half that we've enjoyed. Wigan was there to cut off Costanzo. Fairly, said the referee. Now he's got the ball going the other way. Really only Michelle up with him. So he turns back in, just waiting for numbers to join him. Big moment for Zach Chanchi. Should mention as well, he's making his debut for North West Sydney Spirit. So special moment for him. Not a long stint, but one in which he could still make an impact. Jonathan Suarez bringing it up the other way for Marconi. Costanzo. Marconi needed up the other end. Anton Mlinaric for Nathan Milgate. Suarez. This is more of what we saw in the opening half of the game, where Spirit was set up deep and Marconi trying to break them down. Can they do it here in the closing moments? Ayama twisting and turning, searching for someone in green, dancing past defenders. Might look to do it all on his own. Oh, and there's a challenge in there, and a late penalty for Marconi. Temelkovski getting his body in the way, drawing the contact and winning the penalty, which you'd guess he might now take. Raucous response from the Marconi supporters, and why wouldn't there be? It looked all to be fading away to a draw, and now they've got a chance to win it. Spirit held on so gamely, but now it's all down to Chris Marquez. Had a penalty shout earlier in the second half, waved away by the referee. This one's given, and the man who won it, James Temelkovski, now faces up to Chris Marquez with a chance to score his third goal in 3 games in green, and to give Marconi all 3 points and to send them second on the table. It's James Temelkovski, straight down the middle, and you'd have to think that's all 3 points. Marquez getting involved in some afters. He felt the celebration was antagonistic, and he's raised hands as well towards one of the Marconi players. That will all be the postscript because Marconi look as though they've got all 3 points wrapped up. Referee Sam Kelly over to confer with his assistant. He has shown leniency a couple of times tonight. Will he show it to Chris Marquez? Dom Costanzo was the man who was caught by whatever came towards him. And now this could be interesting because Costanzo's already been booked. It's a yellow card for Temilkovsky and just yellow for Marquez as well. I'd say he's done well there, the referee. But we're going to finish 11 v 11 because there have been a couple of flashpoints tonight. While he's there, there's all a little bit of fun and games about the location of the football as Spirit look to try and kick off and find another late equaliser. They were so close to a third draw of the season. Marconi look like they're going to keep their perfect record at home intact in what has been an imperfect performance tonight, but they won't care about that if they can hang on. How much more time will we have is another consideration because that's all taken another couple of minutes off the clock. Plenty of time to get yellow shirts forward. Cornwall took his time. Header from Lum. There's no one there to claim it in the box. And there's another flashpoint as Chidiac, not for the first time tonight, is involved in some afters. Millgate took real exception to that. Vella's in there as well. Hands raised again. And a game that really was sleeping along in the first half has fired into life in the seconds, both in the ways we like and some of the ways we don't. Jake Chidiac was in very forcefully there. Completely unnecessary challenge on James Hilton. Millgate standing up for his goalkeeper, but probably escalated things. Be very surprised if both these players don't see a booking as well. There's one for Chidiac and Millgate, as I anticipated. Despite the best efforts of the players, we haven't seen a red card tonight. Sam Kelly's paperwork, which all looked like it was going to be fairly straightforward, has all become rather arduous. So James Temilkovsky gets his goal, takes his applause. 3 goals in 3. The simplest of them tonight, but perhaps one of the most important in the fact that it could claim them all 3 points. 3 goals for 7 points off the back of his performances so far. That signing looking all the more important. Hilton taking every inch he's allowed as he launches this one out of his own half, and Sam Kelly says that will do. Marconi with a stoppage time penalty to claim all 3 points at the Palace. Spirit felt aggrieved by that one, but they fought so gamely. It'll be no consolation in the end, though. James Temilkovsky winning and converting the spot kick in stoppage time after Spirit had got an equaliser earlier in the second half through Jesse Michelle, their first of the season, the first for their new signing. All that after Dom Costanzo's opening goal direct from a corner in the first half and Yanni Bazukis striking the crossbar. A wild one in Sydney Southwest. Certainly wasn't looking that way in the first 45 minutes. It ended that way, and it ended, most importantly for the fans here, in a Marconi victory. Alex Molchanov signing off from Football New South Wales. Hope you've enjoyed the coverage of this Saturday night clash where it has finished at the Palace. Marconi Stallions 2, Northwest Sydney Spirit FC 1.